It's really easy to blog about the little boats. It's really good clickbait actually. You get loads of traction on Twitter and different platforms because everybody can see it for what it is. People are sick of it, sick of immigration, they're sick of migrants in hotels, they're sick of the Serco contracts. We can pick holes in this all day long. We know it's wrong. Everybody knows it's wrong. It's a big issue that came up at the doorstep when the council candidates were canvassing. Everybody wants to stop it. You've only got your champagne socialists and the London set that don't think there's anything wrong with it. Last night on Question Time, was it last night? Yeah, Thursday. I thought Zia Youssef did us proud because there was a Labour MP on there who claimed that the little boats across the channel were mainly women and children. Now, I'll just let you hear a clip. I've put it up for you to look on shorts and you can see it in full.
And when you see that the majority of the people in these boats are children, babies and women who have been...
No, they're not.
No, you have got to take... No, look, I get this is...
North of 90% of them are adult men.
Let me be... No.
Yes, more than 90% of them are adult men. We've all seen them being unloaded in their brand new life jackets with the RNLI, being given food, clothing. I mean, no one would want to see anybody suffering and drowning at sea. No one's saying that. But why aren't we processing them offshore? Why is it the whole of Australia can process their illegal migration offshore and nobody calls Australia racist? Why, when Nigel Farage suggests it, do they call him racist? I don't understand that, because obviously Australia isn't racist. It's just doing its best for the people of Australia to make sure that numbers and capacity doesn't overwhelm their services, and to make sure that the people coming in are legitimately needing asylum or have something to offer. That's a good immigration system. There's nothing wrong with that. What people have to try and differentiate here is immigration will always happen. People leave and people come, but you need it managed. Now, the Tories haven't managed this for 14 years. 14 years they haven't done anything about it. In fact, it's increased under their watch. They haven't done anything. Boris Johnson was in charge for some of the biggest influx of people during the last 10 years. The boats have been relentless. They're now coming across in better weather at 10 and 20 boats at a time. I think the record was over 1,900 one day and 1,500 on another day. We can't support this as a system. It's got nothing to do with racism, it's got nothing to do with religion, it's capacity of the services. That's why people can't get doctor's appointments, that's why people can't get kids in school places. That's why people can't get homes to rent, because Serco are giving people priority deals, better rent revenue, you've no empty periods, all damage is repaired instantly. If there are any troublemakers, they get them out, but they're replaced with another set, and there's often troublemakers. Your property goes up. Some people have actually moved out of their family home and rented a place cheaper so that they can rent out what would normally achieve, say, £700 a month. They're now getting £1,500 to £2,000 a month for Serco contracts. Not to mention the big guys like BlackRock buying up property around London, blocks of flats with hundreds of homes in them. Where are they going to go? Because people are still waiting for housing that live here, and we're not prioritised. And that's why when Zia Youssef said in last night's debate they're going to prioritise the people of Britain, isn't it about bloody time they prioritise the people of Britain? Who's paying all the taxes? The people of Britain. And this is a cross section of people. This isn't just us. This is everybody who's here paying taxes and working into the system and have been doing for donkey's years and multiple generations. We didn't set it all up just to give it away. And I, for one, am sick to death of seeing Labour enhance the very bad and poor legislation that the Tory party inflicted on us. It's no good Robert Jenrick coming to the party this late in the stage with all his wonderful sound bites and his excessive dieting to make him look a bit more streetwise, because you've got nothing on offer. Your party's done nothing. Your party has betrayed this country, leader after leader. People are very suspicious of people from other faiths and other countries. But let's face it, the ones that have betrayed us the most are white Christians. John Major came into power to sign our sovereignty away in the Maastricht Treaty. After that, we got Tony Blair, who openly admitted he wanted to be part of Europe. In fact, he worked so hard to be part of Europe, they gave him the Charlemagne Prize, which has only ever been given out to 2 individuals, the first one being Ted Heath, who took us into Europe illegally. He's a white Christian too. Then Gordon Brown, remember him? Gordon Brown? He gave our gold away, might as well put it on eBay. He's another Scottish Christian. Then after Gordon Brown, there was Nick Clegg and David Cameron in the Alliance. Nick Clegg, another Christian. David Cameron, another Christian. What did he give us? He gave us his big society, the big society. That was socialism, under a Tory badge. And then he said he'd walk us through Brexit, but what did he do? He walked away and left us to it. And then we wanted, or members wanted, Andrea Leadsom, another Christian, but she didn't even get a chance because the Tories managed to get her to stand down and slot into place Theresa May, another white-faced Christian who basically was a Remainer. As was Nick Clegg, as was David Cameron, obviously Tony Blair, obviously Gordon Brown, obviously John Major, all white Christians, all Remainers, all willing to give our sovereignty away. And then after Theresa May comes the big election. We've got a final chance of actually getting Boris Johnson into power, the leader of the Vote Leave campaign. And what did he do? Completely buggered up an 80-seat majority. Another white Christian who buggered up the Brexit deal. He dragged it to the wire. No need for that at all. He said he'd die in a ditch. How many times? And then ended up losing power because he was so inept at the job. And what happened then? We'll let Liz Truss off because she wasn't in power long enough to do anything either way, and some of her policies would have been okay. But instead, they stuck us with a stooge that they already had lined up in second place, Rishi Sunak. Not a Christian, fair enough, but I'm not really complaining about him. I'm complaining about the long list of others. And now we sit here with Mr. Robot, Mr. Charisma Bypass, Keir Starmer. I'm not really sure what he is. I mean, does he even take solids? I bet that bugger's immune to pesticides. Unbelievable the way we've been handled in this country. So, yes, obviously nobody wants extremism from any sort of religion, but let's just recognise a few of the real hardcore heavyweight demons we've had in charge of this country already. Because no matter what their background is, it's not done us any favours, has it? We sit here today with excessive legislation, with laws that the Tory government brought in, a lot of them via Theresa May. She brought net zero into law. She's the one that brought in electric vehicle manufacturing fines. She brought in hate speech laws. That woman did more than run through any cornfield. So I sit here today and I listen to Zia Youssef and he makes more sense to me than half of Westminster put together. And his parents came here legally, jumping through hoops, like a lot of people have done over the years. Nobody is complaining, and this is what gets me when they go on about racism and calling reform far right. Nobody's complaining about immigration. We're complaining about the fact that governments have not managed it. They've not managed it to a successful level. Look at Australia. You can't get in unless you've got something to offer. Look at America. You cannot get in unless you've got something to offer. Other countries are the same, and the ones that have had open borders are now a shambles. Sweden in particular, they're paying people to relocate. A Somalian family have just been given the equivalent. There were 7 of them in their family, and they've got the equivalent. Even the kids got the money, the equivalent of £25,000 per person to go back home. They're going home millionaires to Somalia from Sweden. That's how bad it is. It actually costs less to do that than to keep them forever. By the time they get to pension age, it's astronomical. So something has to be done. And the only party in a position to do anything is the Reform Party. The Tories aren't going to alter anything. It's just pie in the sky. Half the reason wages are so low is because of Tory backers. We only got Brexit delayed so they could hang on to free movement of cheap labour. That is the one and only reason. Because I've had this conversation with so many Brexiteer MPs, from Steve Baker to the rest of them. They know perfectly well why Brexit got delayed, to satisfy Tory backers access to cheap labour, and that's kept British wages down for over 2 decades. So don't talk to me about who's going to betray us. We have been betrayed at the hands of our very own. And not to mention that goon that's running the Church of England, who's heavily politicised and basically came from being an oil executive. That's where the country sits today. It's utterly ridiculous. So if you think I'm taking a chance on reform, I've got nothing to lose, because I know that what I've built up in my own life, and whatever it is that you've built up in yours, you want to keep it. And I know the Tories aren't going to help me do that. And I know Labour want to take it off me. So it leaves me one option, and that is to give it a go with someone who won't let either of those parties into power. And that's the risk I'm prepared to take. And if you want to call me names for thinking that I'm putting my trust in the wrong place, I don't see any other place to put it. And I'm quite happy with my choice. Because there's a lot of people watching this who want to just continue. They'd actually be ecstatically happy just to be able to get on with their life without being fleeced for the bills, fleeced for energy, fleeced for council tax, and not able to buy things that they want to buy because everything's gone up too much. And the way they're being taxed. It's ridiculous. And fines. And the levies on. We are paying the most for energy in the world. We pay more for electricity than the Americans, than the Swedish, than the Norwegians. Everybody, we are paying the most. It's got to stop. And we've got to. This is one window of opportunity between now and when it comes to a next election. And the Doge movement that's happening in the councils is going to have an effect on how we move forward. Bring it on.